Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and we have a lot of knives to get through, so we're going to get through these quick. We have a whole bunch of concepts, and some of these are really badass. We got budget and premium stuff. This is the new Chimera, and it's somewhat of a simple design, which I do appreciate. It does have a little bit of an interesting look when you look at the way the frame is cut, but, you know, the action, very good action, super smooth, very easy to to thumb roll or thumb flick. Very satisfying. Nice reverse flick. Good ergonomics, not super thick at all. It is relatively slim. Nice chamfer down the edge. It's actually a hollowed chamfer. You're probably gonna be able to pick it up the way it actually is, but it is a hollow chamfer. And then the blade is a stone washed, and then this one's obviously black washed, S35 VN, good access to the lock bar. But like I said, man, just a sleek, very clean design. I tried the clip. The clip works well. I typically don't like clips to land on these, but these ones work great. Not always, but typically KANSEPT does a good job with their clips. So all in all, man, I like this one quite a bit. The only thing that I'm really going to complain about is just the plunge grind once again. You know, maybe the lock bar cutout could be on the inside, but the plunge grind, you know, it could be a little bit better so you have more clearance when you're on a stone. And basically, just in case if we run into this issue again, I'm basically talking about if this was a stone, when I go to sharpen, right there, you see how it's hitting back here. So I'm trying to hit here, but in order to hit there, I got to hit back there. So especially with a low angle, that's what creates a smile, is right there. When I go to sharpen, it hits. Bam, bam. So you want clearance there. Let's get to the next one, because like I said, we got a lot. Next is the Kosami. So we have two of the Kosamis here, and this is a button lock, titanium handle, and it has an inlay on the inside. See, this one has like a, I think it's a polished black, I don't know if it's micarta or G10, it's probably G10. This one has the JG10. You can see the inlay in there. Lots of milling in the inside. It is a button lock, and the detent is great on this. Great detent. Ergonomics are super good. I love this taper from slimmer to thicker. It is a sheep's foot blade, but it has a straight edge like a Warncliffe, so utility cuts are going to be phenomenal. Flipper tab again, man, really good flipper tab. I do wish there was a second deployment because I have room, but you know, not that big of a deal. It's not slim, but it is narrow to some extent. The button is inset, which is nice. And the clip is a titanium mill pocket clip. I like how they swelled it out right there. That sometimes helps with tension. However, it does look to be flat. So that could be an issue. It works because it does have a little bit of a ramp right there, but it definitely could be a little bit better. It's just, it's got a flat surface. Lots of milling on the inside. And the blade steel on this is 154 cm. So that's definitely going to keep the price down. And I love the black and the brown. However, I don't know why they didn't do brown G10 on the inside of there instead of the black. Why wouldn't they have done that? That's kind of confusing, especially with everything else being brown, and they should have did the clip brown too. Anyways, not that big of a deal. It's really cool. I like this one. The only thing is, again, the plunge grind, while they did separate it from the edge, it's so tight back in here, it's going to be very difficult not to hit your stone. I wish it was just a little bit more separated, you know, maybe a better ramp on the clip. But other than those, I mean, it's really good. Now, button locks, you know, not everybody, you know, is loving button locks. These ones feel pretty solid, but I have not, well, they survived. So let's get to the next one. The next one is the Raven. I like this one a lot. This one's my favorite one so far. Thumb stud action. Obviously, we have two different ones, both with black wash. So we have this, I forget what they call this, but ooh, it's like the Storm fat carbon fiber. It's very, very smooth. I like the cut that they used on that. Then this one is, you know, another cut of fat carbon fiber, somewhat like the 80s fat carbon fiber. I'm not sure what they are calling it. That's the white Nebula. And then this one is the Party Camo. Titanium frame lock, titanium mill pocket clip, great clip. backspacer with a hidden lanyard back there. T8 hardware all the way around except around the clip that's not reversible, so I guess that's not that big of a deal. And the access to the lock bar is really generous. Love that. Super smooth. Great thumb stud placement. Like when you put your finger up, you can kind of just take this chamfer right up with your thumb and you'll land right on it. Or same thing with the reverse flick, because you see how it's got that chamfer right there. It feels really good. And in the hand, super comfortable, man. This is a good one for sure. Love, well, I typically don't like it to go from bigger to slimmer, but in this case, it's thick enough that it feels really good in the hand. It is a flat ground drop point blade in 20 CV. So we got a more premium steel now. Remember, we've had the S35 and the 154 CM. Now we got some 20 CV. What a beauty. And I do believe that this is the stop pin, the thumb studs. So it seems, oh man, that thing is rock solid too. Yeah. And then the closing stop pin, yeah, it hits back here, but it's in the bigger, thicker area. What a cool knife, man. Good looking knife and a good knife. Oh, negatives, same thing, plunge grind. And in this case, you know, the only thing I wish these were T8s, but it's not that big of a deal. And so, you know, hey, it's all good. Nice sharp jippy too, by the way. That's very sharp. Wow, that is sharp. Yeah, you ain't moving when your thumb's on that, even all the way back there. So some people might like and some people might not, but I think it's, you know, if you're gonna have jimping, make it sharp. Now let's jump to some budget stuff and then we'll go back to some more premium stuff. We have a full-size affordable knife from KANSEPT. So this one's going to be in more affordable materials. We have a double-colored G10, which I really like, man. It feels good. It's got a nice milling pattern. So it's basically a layered G10 that they knocked down the edges and milled out a slit down the center. Nitro V steel. Stonewash blade. Love this blade, man. This is a very useful blade shape. The blade, if you look, it goes down pretty far, so the tip is not very high. It's very easy to do a utility cut. And because this thing sways up like that, very easy to cut down on a flat surface. And because of the way it kind of cants that way, you're going to be able to trap materials for slicing. Now, I know you see this secondary grind. It is not really a dual grind. They're basically the same grind. It just has a change of angle, but you do not have to worry about sharpening this. It is not like sharpening a Tonto. You just sharpen it like a drop point. This will be identical to sharpening a drop point. Then we have a deep carry clip, not reversible, but it does have TA hardware all the way around, except for on the pocket clip. Access to the lock bar. They did cut it back a little bit, not really far, but just enough. Phenomenal flipping action. Great detent. It's not even broken in yet. So I can imagine afterwards how smooth it will be. Internal stop pins. Love to see that. Ooh, nice lockup. That's the way I like to see lockup. The KRATOS, I should have said that already. O-stop Hell design, the KRATOS, very slicey blade, super ergonomic. Yeah, this is a good one. This is for sure a good budget knife. This would be a great work knife for somebody if you want a full-size large knife and you're looking for primarily a flipper, you know, so you don't have anything on the blade that's going to catch anything or whatnot and so forth, you know, a hole to clean or anything. It's going to be very easy to clean. And in many cases with a work knife, you might like it. You might want something like that. I don't have any negatives for this one. Plunge grind could be better, but not a deal breaker or anything like that. So clip could be inset maybe, but again, not that big of a deal. Next, you know, we're going to do budget and premium now. So we have the new KANSEPT Tiny, what is it called? The Tiny something. The Tiny Dancer. The Tiny Dancer. And we can see here we have a premium one and the more affordable one, both with these. Let's see if the sheath works for this one too. I'm sure it does. Yeah. Oh yeah. So you have a sheath, obviously, for both of them with the belt clip. Now, this one is in D2 steel with a harpoon clip point blade. Freaking love this blade shape. One of my favorites. Harpoon clip point blade in D2 steel with very, very deeply textured G10 handles. It is a full tang, as you can see, relatively thick blade stock, so it's going to be robust enough. It is more of like a 3.5 finger, it's a 4 finger knife. This area, because it does get fat you know, it makes it to where you're not getting this out of my hand. You could choke up a little bit if you needed to, but I think it's going to be mostly in the pinch grips, and this style handle is going to do great for the pinch grips. Now this one has this micro milling in the blade. I love that. I think it looks sick. I know some people are going to be like, yeah, but if you're cutting certain stuff, it's going to get inside there. Rinse it off, man. Rinse it off, or don't cut food with it. You know, if you're cutting just regular stuff, anything that gets in there should dust out. But I guess, yeah, I guess if there's like liquids or caulks or something you're cutting through, maybe. But love, love, love harpoon, like I was saying. And this one, because it's a compact folder, the tip is not very difficult to get to. It's a little bit high, plenty of belly to cut down on a flat surface, and this handle is just going to function so well in most grips. I do find this one, well, both of them to be very comfortable. Flat scales, man, good looking knife. S35VN, the Tiny Dancer. Listen to how deep this is. It's hard to even, you can't even see it probably much in the camera, but those are deep. I like it though. And when you sharpen it, you don't have to worry about it. Just sharpen it like any other knife, and it'll sharpen, you know, just fine. You know, it's just, you're just basically just, obviously just cutting in an angle, and it won't mess with anything. Like I know somebody asked me that about another knife that had that, and I told them, yeah, it's just like sharpening anything else. It's not going to be a problem. It won't cause any issues. Really cool knife. The belt loop or clip you can move, so you can go for scout carry or straight up and down, and then, you know, you probably could change it out to something else like an ulti clip if that's more of your jam. Now this next one, we have another budget and premium version, but this time we have one more. Now this is, let me use this. Oh man, these are gorgeous. This, I really like this little fixed blade. I am so happy they did this one with the Tiffany blue. It's more of a turquoise blue. So they got like a turquoise G10. The Jonathan Styles is the name. So the Jonathan Styles. I'm sorry, the name on this guy is the PARR. Actually, I read the name of the designer. So Jonathan Styles is the designer. The PARR is the name of the knife. This one's in 14C28N, nice and relatively slightly blade. Like the thickness of the spine is a little robust, but the edge gets down nice and thin. More of a 3.5 finger knife, but again, the pinch grips is where it's at. Very lightweight. This one's going that one in. So no rattle, no tap. It has a push-off point, and there goes my sheath. Just went flying across the room. But it is slim. It's narrow. But I love that the Tiffany with the black wash. Then we have the copper carbon fiber. I love that stuff, man. I think it looks beautiful. Love that copper carbon fiber. And then this one has S35VN stonewash blade. Then we have a black washed S35VN stonewash blade with a shred carbon fiber. Very lightweight, very slim. This is a very useful blade shape especially for EDC, because this length of blade is great for EDC. It's easier to conceal, easier to carry, and then also it's an extremely useful blade shape. So this blade shape should pretty much do most of the things you're going to do throughout the day with a knife. Obviously, some people are going to be doing crazier stuff than others, but for the most part, EDC stuff, this is perfect. Size, everything about it. Plunge grind is the only thing I'm going to bitch about, and it's because I wish they pulled that back. Now, luckily, this is a fixed blade, so I could cut my own in. However, sometimes you got to be careful. I think the retention is just around here, but I do see these little spots right there, which should be fine. So it shouldn't have no problem if you wanted to cut in your own choil, but sometimes you got to be careful because it can mess up the retention. This one I think would be fine. But I wish the plunge grind, you know, was just, it dropped straight down instead of tapering, because since it tapers all the way down to the edge rather than just dropping straight down to the grind. Then that would leave clearance. Like I said, this is one you could easily do yourself. And, you know, if you did really get serious and you cut that whole thing out right there, you could have a nice little choke up spot, but you can already get nice and tight to the edge. And to be honest, man, I probably wouldn't even do it. I'd probably just sharpen it and just, you know, sharpen up the plunge, and it'll have a smile. Not a big deal. Man, all in all, these are very cool. Like I said, lightweight, a little bit on the lighter duty side, but that's kind of the beauty of them. And then you couple with this, these are kind of a cool little duo right there, right? Love the color combo. I wonder if this will shine in UV. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, look at that. I don't think they glow. No, but they look like they're glowing when you put that light on it. So, there you guys go. Just a quick one checking out some new KANSEPT and TENABLE knives. Everything will be linked down in the description. So if you want to see prices, you want to see sizes, you want to see any information, everything's linked down in the description and you can purchase it there. So shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for watching until right now, the end. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.